Hey guys, Luke here with Hazard Fab. We're back with another video, and this week we're going to talk about death wobble. Jeez. All right, guys, on all these bigger trucks, whether it's a Jeep, it's a Ford, it's a Dodge, everyone jacks it up in the air and shakes it with their hand. The wheels and tires are too heavy. You can't get a good test with that. So what we do is we put it up on a rack or on the ground and lay under the thing, start the vehicle, shake the steering wheel side to side, back and forth from 3 to 9 a bunch, and then look at every suspension joint, and it'll show you if you have a tie rod end or a track bar or something like that moving. So I'll show you this one. Go ahead, Luke. So you can see that tie rod end is fairly tight. This one's plunging a little bit. Go to the track bar here. We got in and out play out of that track bar bushing. Go up here. Drag link is plunging up and down. This one seems tight. That one seems fairly new. You can go here. That one seems fairly tight. You're going to see that sway bar end link moving around, which isn't even something we're looking at, but it's a good time to see that. Is look, that thing's moving all around. We're gonna look something like this. Steering stabilizer, look at that moving all around. They're not moving in parallel like they should. Not technically always to do with death wobble, but that's something that needs to be addressed. This side seems tight. So just a really good way for you to go over the Jeep and look at it. Let's go side to side like this. We're gonna see both drag link ends are plunging. And from there, now we're gonna check ball joints. All right, so right now he's taking that pry bar, he's prying up and down. This doesn't actually have loose ball joints. This one you can see it's not plunging up and down. This one looks terrible, but it is not actually plunging up and down. So we can consider those ball joints tight. You would see that one plunging up and down, and oftentimes you'll get the lower that'll move in and out. You'll see it be moving in and out as he's prying up and down on it. Let's check the other side here. So same thing, good and tight. It's not moving, that's not moving. All seems good. This is also another way to check the wheel bearings. Oftentimes you'll have play, you'll feel there, but the ball joints are tight. Oftentimes that means the wheel bearing is going bad. So another thing is a lot of people take their Jeep, they get some weird sensation like that or their truck, and they end up at a tire store, which is kind of pretty common in this industry, and I don't understand why. But oftentimes you'll see places put dual steering stabilizers on them. This guy's been to a tire store a couple times. He's got wheel bearings, he's got some tie rod ends, but obviously there's lots more issues. And I always try to tell people, if you had a nosebleed or a sinus problem, would you be going to the foot doctor? Probably not. So please quit going to the tire store when you have a suspension issue. Let's go to somebody that actually knows about it. And what we like to do is this exact test right here and bring the customer out here and actually show them what's going on with their truck. So something that we like to do next is we're going to check control arm bushings, and we'll go over how to do that in 1 second. A good way to do that is put the vehicle in 4-wheel drive, put it in gear, and then have your trusty sidekick push the tire back and forth, basically try to roll the thing, and as it starts to stop, it'll rock the pinion. If you see the pinion angle moving up and down front or rear, you got a loose control arm bushing, and this one actually doesn't, but I'll show you how we check it. So he starts pushing back and forth, and we'll start looking here. Look at all your control arm bushings. They're not moving. The pinion isn't moving up and down. You can see the drivetrain is loading and stopping everything. So everything looks good here. We'll go to the rear. Commonly on these Jeeps like this, especially with a short arm, you know, they get some miles on them. The rear control arm bushings like to, that one over there, oh, almost looked like it had some movement, but it doesn't. But the rear control arm bushings will get loose just from on and off the gas, especially if it's a manual. You'll see that a lot. We see it a lot lately in TJs, JKs, stuff like that. But this one all seems tight as far as control arms go. Digging a little deeper into this style of suspension and what brings on death wobble. Basically, it's not just Jeeps. It's Dodge trucks, it's Ford trucks, it's Jeeps, anything with like, you know, this 5-link design. You got upper lower control arm track bar design. That's like 94 newer Dodge trucks until they went to radius arms at 14. It's you know, Jeeps from basically 97 when they started the TJ to current has this similar suspension design. They've changed it, made it bigger and stronger and better along the way, but similar design. Ford never really did it. They always did a radius arm, but you still see death wobble a lot in Fords. Even brand new Super Duties have had issues with it. Theirs are all related to parts that are loose or moving. The same thing. Sometimes you'll see parts that aren't necessarily plunging up and down or moving, but you have too small of parts or weak parts, or it's not always one thing, but there's commonly lots of things moving around that are given basically uncontrolled movement. You can have steering box issues. You know, ball joints are common, wheel bearings are common, track bar bushings, frame side or axle side, very common. Track bar brackets that are loose or broke, track bar bolts that are loose, track bar bolt holes that are, you know, wallered out. You got a 10mm bolt and a 14mm hole. Lots of stuff like that. So you really got to go over these things with a fine-tooth comb. Every kind of vintage and package of vehicle seems to have more common things than others. You know, second gen Rams, very commonly the frame side track bar. It's a ball or it's a tie rod end looking joint up there. They make upgrades to put that into like the third gen track bar conversions and make great stuff for that. All these platforms have great fixes for that. There's factory parts, but there's tons of great aftermarket support that is a lot stronger and a lot better than the OEM stuff, especially once you go to bigger tires. You know, steering is meant for a 32-inch tire. You got a 37-inch tire on it. Steering is weak. Track bars wear out. Wheel bearings wear out. Everything, ball joints especially. So something to think about as you start modifying your Jeep, you start wheeling your Jeep or your Dodge or your Ford or whatever else you have. Commonly, you're just using it harder than it was ever meant to be used. Back to my tire store comment. I have seen once in a while you will get tires that do play into the death wobble condition. Typically it's not only tires, but in this case, like these tires are super cupped. They're worn super uneven. I mean, you can feel it. There's ½ inch of difference in the tread from one lug to the other. So what that's gonna do is give a real rough ride, make a lot of noise, but it's gonna make the thing real uneasy. So it's going to be more apt to death wobble. On this particular Jeep, one thing that's played into that a lot is the shocks are completely blown out. They've puked all their fluid out of it. So they've been like that for a long time. That played into a lot of why we had the bad tire wear. That's not necessarily why it's death wobbling, but that definitely is going to make it death wobble more. The reasons it's death wobbling is it's got loose front end parts. That's going to be the death wobble in this case. But we're still going to put tires on this. We're putting shocks on it. We're going to do some tie rod ends. Tighten up all the loose stuff, and the thing will drive beautiful. All right guys, we just got all the parts installed on this Jeep. Biggest things that we fixed on this one was steering and track bar geometry was off. It was incorrect. It had a raised track bar bracket that didn't have the rest of the steering parts to go along with that. So this one got correct steering geometry. The track bar was loose. It is now new and tight. Among other things that had to be done, we put some adjustable control arms on it to gain some caster. We added shocks because the old ones were blown out. And then we put some Nitto ridge grapplers on it, and this thing is smooth as glass and ready to go home to the customer. Thanks for watching this month. Let us know in the comments what you'd like us to do videos on next. We're trying to give you guys some education and show you guys how we fix trucks here at Hazard Fab Works. And as always, like, subscribe, share this with your friends. Love to give you guys some education on these trucks. And like I said, let us know what you want us to do. Coming in hot.